Which fantasy players are we excited about given their current ADP? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. If you could like it and subscribe to the channel, that would be wonderful. You guys know who I'm joined by, my brother and our father. How's it going, guys? It is July 6th. Any summer plans coming up in the next few weeks?
Yeah, I'm going to a Lyle Lovett concert tomorrow night.
A what?
Lyle Lovett.
Hey.
Not my choice, but you know, I heard he's got a big band. I like a lot of musical instruments, and you know, so it's a very small setting up in Ojai, only 1,000 people, so should be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
That's this weekend or tomorrow.
I mean, live music is, no matter who it is generally pretty good. So
yeah, it is. So,
Brian, anything coming up? Anything exciting?
No. Well, I mean, my wife's birthday. I don't know. It's a lot of social stuff during the summer for us. It's always someone's birthday. Like,
it's year round for you guys.
Yeah, it really seems like mid-June to like the end of my life.
Into December.
Yeah.
End of May, mid-June to end of May.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I've already shopped for your wife, so I don't have to do anything.
Oh, good. Maybe you can give me an idea.
Yeah. Here, why don't you buy her something Bigfoot related?
Bigfoot, and I was trying to make a transition, but I couldn't think of one between Bigfoot and round one, guys. So again, today we're looking at the first 7 rounds.
Transition.
What?
We don't give a shit about kickers and their big feet.
Okay, so you've changed completely.
Yeah.
But we're looking at the first 7 rounds, and we pulled some ADP kind of from the last month or so about where guys are going. So it's a little, it's going to change a lot again. It's July 6th. Training camps haven't even started. It's a lot of best ball drafts, and those are, drafted slightly different, but not too different than your normal redraft league. So this isn't foolproof, but we're going to go through each round and just kind of choose a guy that we really like at the value of where they're going in each round. The first 7, if I didn't say that. And we chose 7 because, the first 7 rounds are theoretically they're all starters on your team, depending on, depends on your league setting. So anyways, we'll get into it. Round 1, we have Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Christian McCaffrey going at the 103, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Austin Eckler, Cooper Kupp, Bijan going at the 108, Stephon Diggs, Patrick Mahomes, CeeDee Lamb, and A.J. Brown going at the 112. Brian, we'll start with you. Who are you excited or think is good value there? It's kind of hard with the first round in terms of value, but
yeah, everyone's awesome. Everyone's great. Honestly, like my strategy, if I'm picking, so I picked the 8th guy overall. I said Bijan just to cause a little static with Dad because that was his guy who he voted. He said he was down on.
Said he sucked.
No, yeah, right. That's not the real reason. But no, I mean, I just think he's kind of an interesting guy, like everyone knows. But what I was going to say, my strategy would probably be if I was picking there, I don't know if I'd actually have the balls to pick him. I might go for one of those receivers just because of how they're all flying off the board. And then I'd probably be better off with, Bijan and Devontae Adams. Or sorry. Actually, I kind of like that. You know what? Yeah. I'm changing my mind. I'm going with Bijan and Devontae Adams, picking 8th overall.
You can't.
I mean, we don't have to say why we like him there. It's like he's going to catch a bunch of passes. He's going to run the ball 300 times, and hopefully Atlanta isn't as terrible as they've been, and he actually gets some touchdowns.
Yeah, I think Atlanta was the perfect spot for him. Just like all their advanced like rushing numbers as a team showed they were like the best in the league. They turned Tyler Algier into a 1,000-yard rusher. Like Tyler Algier's not anything special, you know. And they're going to run the hell out of the ball. And I think they're going to be better as a team, and I think that's going to benefit Bijan as well, like, you know, conserving leads and running out the clock and stuff. So, yeah, I think Bijan's going to smash this year. Dad, we know you don't like Bijan. You hate him. You think he's a scrub. But
No.
who are you excited about in the first
Yeah,
I know you don't hate him.
I kind of like Jamar Chase. So, he
Did
just
you pick him number 1 overall?
Yeah, I'd pick him number 2. I think I'd pick. I think I still might go with McCaffrey,
Yeah.
number 1. You know,
Mhm.
hoping that he survives the whole year. But Jamar Chase, yeah, I think he's good. He's got a great quarterback. You know, there's a lot I liked about Cincinnati. I think hopefully they got their offensive line better. I know it was 2 years ago. It was kind of crap. Last year it was a little better. This year it seems it should be better. You know, moved up a notch. But yeah, Jamar Chase, he's my guy. Round 1.
Again, it's hard to say like any of these guys are like value when they're in the first round or whatever, but I think Jamar Chase was like his numbers were gonna surpass Justin Jefferson's, or I don't know exactly. He had 87 catches in 12 games, which is a crazy number. So, yeah, I mean, there's not really much we can say. Jamar Chase is awesome, and so is Bijan. Round two, we have Jonathan Taylor going at the 201, Saquon Barkley, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson at the 205, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Jalen Waddle, Nick Chubb, Devontae Smith, Tony Pollard, and then Josh Jacobs at the 212. Dad, go ahead and start us off. Who's your guy that you think is good value here you're going to be targeting in the second round?
I think Garrett Wilson. I guess I'm expecting the big uptick because of Aaron Rodgers. You know, but here's a funny thing. You know, I'm gonna step on my own body part here and just say I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Rodgers stinks, but I still think Garrett Wilson is the guy. You know, I'm just talking about the team situation and stuff like that. So I think Garrett Wilson is the guy. I wouldn't have a problem taking him here in round 2. There's a couple other guys too that I thought of, but Garrett Wilson's my guy.
Yeah, I think he's going to, you know, be in that conversation of, is he the best receiver in the league? You know, he's going to be, maybe not, but he's going to be up there with like Jefferson and Chase. And I think after this year, I think Aaron Rodgers has still got it. Only concern is their offensive line for the Jets, I guess. They don't really have much at the tackle position. So, but Garrett Wilson is awesome. Brian, who are you excited about in round 2?
I went with Josh Jacobs as the last guy in round 2. I think that's great. You know, I mean, he was running back 3 last year. I don't think he needs to necessarily be running back 3 to justify where he's being taken. You know, like, I mean, if you have if you can get him with the last pick in the round 2, that means you had the first pick, right? So you literally have your pick of anybody you want, and Josh Jacobs as either your RB1 or 2. Like, It's like, yeah, I mean, nothing's changed for him. His situation, like, they're going to use the hell out of him. He might not rush for 340 times.
Who knows?
That's how many times he ran last year. I mean, it's just so funny how, like, we were all so down on him because it seemed like, you know, they didn't give him the 5th-year option last year, and they didn't. They used him in the Hall of Fame game or whatever it was. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh man, like they don't give a shit about him, like whatever. But it's like, I mean, he was on the team, and so he's a running back. It's like, well, let's use the hell out of him before we get rid of him, I guess maybe was the idea. And he was great. He was awesome, so 2,000 total yards, basically. I can definitely see the touchdowns coming back to earth. How many receiving touchdowns did he have?
None.
None. Oh yeah, that's right. We talked about this before. He had 0 through his whole career, and he had 12 on the ground. So maybe that won't change too much. He's done it before, lock him in for 8 at least. And yeah, I think he can definitely come down from where he was last year and still be a great value at this pick.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think it's crazy that he's going at the 212. Like you said, the fact I can start my draft either Jefferson, Chase, McCaffrey, and then get Josh Jacobs in the late second round. Like, what? Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Like,
get McCaffrey and have like the number 2 and number 3 finishing running backs from last year. And I know that it isn't last year, so that doesn't necessarily mean everything. But it's just kind of like, why is he like that? Like I said in the previous video, like I don't understand taking Tony Pollard over him and some of these wide receiver 2s on their team, like Devontae Smith and stuff. I just don't see how he got pushed so low. And part of it has to do with the quarterbacks. There's 3 quarterbacks and a tight end in front of them. So it definitely is pushing these running backs down to where I just feel like there's such a great value. Yeah. And that kind of transitions into my pick for the next round, if you guys are ready to move on.
Yeah, just last thing. I mean, you mentioned, maybe he doesn't get 340 carries. I think he could get 340 carries again. Like, it's, same coach, same offense. Like Jimmy Garoppolo, I think is a kind of a lateral move, maybe slightly down to Carr. I don't know. I can see him getting almost 400 touches total again. Easily. So only concern, I guess, is the threat of him holding out, but we're going to know that by the time we draft. So we won't really have to worry about that. But yeah, we'll get into to round 3. We have Derrick Henry, Chris Olave, Joe Burrow at the 303, T. Higgins, Najee Harris, DK Metcalf, Ramondre Stevenson at the 307, Mark Andrews, Breece Hall, Deebo Samuel, Lamar Jackson, and Keenan Allen at the 312. So go ahead, Brian. You want to transition into who you like in round 3?
So initially I was going to pick the guy at 301, Derrick Henry, because it's like, well, why the hell is he all the way down here? What did he do to what did he do last year? Did he finish 4th or something? Like, it's like, oh my God. Like yeah. So it's kind of like, dude, you get all of these guys. What if you started that way? Like McCaffrey, Josh Jacobs, and Derrick Henry. But then I saw Najee Harris 4 picks after him, and I kind of feel like he's kind of in the same bucket. Like, he's going to be the volume play. Like, obviously he catches passes, whereas Henry doesn't. But Henry's way more explosive. But I just feel like these guys are they're the solid ass workhorse guys right there at the beginning, like guaranteed. Like, I don't see these guys losing their role to anyone, and they're probably, I haven't looked extensively. I mean, they're probably the last couple of guys on this list that you can say that about. So it's kind of like, I feel like you got to get them now, and it's like, yeah, they're right there. So Najee Harris, hopefully Pittsburgh can be a little better. I mean, obviously he lost a lot of targets last year, a lot of catches that affected from what he did the previous year, but he kind of picked it up midway through the season. He did have that foot injury, I remember, but it's like, I think he could. He basically lost about 400 yards worth of efficiency or whatever you want to call it last year, and it's like, I think he can make up some of that pretty good and still justify that 3rd round pick easily.
Yeah, it was week 11 on. He was RB4, so it's pretty. It's a significant chunk of the season. Yeah, he's averaging almost 15 points a game. I think that was right around when he got that steel plate out of his foot or something out of his shoe or whatever. So, I like that, Najee Harris. Dad, Who are you excited about in round 3?
Yeah, Ramondre Stevenson. I think as long as no other running back comes in and upsets the apple cart here in New England, I just think this guy is poised for a big year. I think New England will rely on him, and I'm not saying a run heavy game. You know, they got a real offensive coordinator there, Bill O'Brien, and who's been a head coach and was coaching Alabama just last year. But I think Ramondre Stevenson is going to be the man. So
Yeah, he's survived up until this point. I think we were all worried they were going to do something, bring someone in, draft someone. They haven't, and there's Dalvin Cook rumors, but he's it's July 6th, so he's survived this far. I think we're always just, ever since I've been playing fantasy football, it's always been New England running backs, like avoid them. They had like Corey Dillon there for a while, like the mid 2000s, but basically after him, it was just a rotation of guys that you never knew who to start at what week and what year to year and blah, blah, blah. So Ramondre might be that guy to kind of break that curse. So I like that.
It would be nice. It would be nice if that actually works. Yeah. Would you rather have Ramondre Stevenson or Najee Harris?
Well, that's kind of a toss up there.
You'd be happy with either one,
I think so. I know Najee's pretty involved with the passing game. I don't think Ramondre is. I don't think he sucks in the passing game. No,
well, he was super. Yeah, he had 70 catches last year.
Yeah.
69. Yeah. It was like a crazy number, but
I wouldn't be hurting for any of those guys, either one of those guys.
But I think Juju's going to come in and take all his targets.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely. It's intriguing to see those guys, Najee Harris, Ramondre Stevenson. Like you said, those are probably the two. And Derrick Henry in the 3rd round. Those 3 after that, you go away from, like, if you want to consider Ramondre a workhorse, like, potentially is, but for sure, like, I don't think ETN's going to be that. Who's the next running back? Jahmyr Gibbs is not. Kenneth Walker, we'll see. So, yeah, it's interesting to see those guys and be like, maybe I can go wide receiver, or Kelsey and a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Pay up for a quarterback and then be comfortable with Henry, Najee, Ramondre is my RB1.
I think Ramondre is probably going to replicate a little more what he did last year, and maybe the targets kind of go a little bit more like I can't even necessarily say normal, but maybe a little bit more of what we expected, I guess. But I think it'll be like a 200 carry guy, not like necessarily like a 250 or like anything like that. Like, I think that's what's going to separate him from Najee and Henry. But if he keeps his role in the passing game, then he'll be worth every bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I can see him getting more carries. Like, only 210 last year. Damian Harris no longer there, and they, maybe his receiving could get cut in half, but maybe he makes up that a little bit with like 30, 40 more carries. So
yeah, I always think of like 200. Maybe these numbers aren't very good. Maybe you guys can correct me here, but I always think about all right, 200 carries. That's like a good startable ass running back, especially if he's getting passing work. But 250, it's kind of like, all right, now you're seeing something, and then anything even close to 300, that's like Derrick Henry shit right there. Is that about right?
Yeah, I mean, 200 carries is only 11 carries a game. So, yeah, you definitely need to be doing something in the passing game. I would say you probably want, 15. I always think about 15 carries a game is kind of what I want from one of my RB1, on top of getting at least 35, 40 catches, Okay.
So that's closer to that's closer to the 250 mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, if you catch 70 passes, then you can get away with that. So we'll move on to round 4. We have Travis Etienne at the 401, DeAndre Hopkins, TJ Hawkinson, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Justin Herbert, Jahmyr Gibbs, Calvin Ridley at the 408, Kenneth Walker, DJ Moore, Drake London, and Trevor Lawrence at the 412. Dad, go ahead and start us off. Who do you like here in round 4?
Yeah, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on Trevor Lawrence and expecting a little bump up. Mostly related to having a consistent coaching staff. So the team actually, you can see Jaguars took another jump up last year. They made the playoffs, won a playoff game and stuff like that. So I still think Trevor Lawrence last year still had some ups and downs, but so everybody's thinking he's gonna take another step, and I think I agree with that. So
yeah, it's tough for me with Trevor Lawrence, like in round 4. Like, I think he's a good player, and I do think he'll take a step up, but it's like I'm not taking him over Justin Fields, who he's currently going ahead of. I can get Deshaun Watson 23 picks later. I can get Dak 40 picks later. You know what I mean? Like, at least what I'm looking at now might be a little bit different from what I have written, but like Dak averaged just as many points last year as Trevor Lawrence. Tua averaged more points than Trevor Lawrence. So, if you really do believe that he's going to get to that elite 35-plus passing touchdown, 4,500 plus passing yards and some work on the ground, then, I can definitely see paying up for him. So just a little scary, like, to take someone like that in the 4th round. Brian?
I much rather like Herbert there, or like in the same round, like just given where the other guys are. Like, I feel like he's I'm actually surprised that Herbert's getting drafted before Lawrence. I guess I'm not surprised, but like, I just thought people were drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit more, as Dad would say. But yeah, my guy in round 4, second to last pick of round 4, pick 411, Drake London. I think that's great to get him there. Like, I mean, like, the guy is going to get the ball thrown to him. Again, I was looking all these little stats up while you guys were talking and everything. So Atlanta only threw 400. Like, I knew they were really low last year. They only threw 415 times last year. And it's like, maybe they won't throw like a ton more than that. I mean, I think they will throw like quite a bit more than that, but maybe it won't be league average necessarily, because they got the second year / kind of a rookie still, Desmond Ridder. So if they're trying to keep the ball out of his hands a little bit, use their brand new shiny running back and everything. They've got Kyle Pitts to, dump stuff off to, it's like, so I just think that London's going to be right there in like this nice little system. They're definitely going to have to throw a little bit more, even if it's not a ton more, and he'll still get at least a 25% share. So it may not be like pretty, but when you kind of look at some of the other guys around, I guess it's kind of like, Calvin Ridley's going a few picks before him and stuff like that. It's like, I'd rather have London. DJ Moore is on Chicago. He's going right in front of Drake London. It's like, I'd rather have London, I think, just because I don't know if the situation in Chicago is going to be much different. And I think London's got a good shot at turning it into something.
Yeah.
Wasn't he like the number 1 wide receiver in the draft last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. Him and then Garrett Wilson. So, yeah, it's tough. Like, I wasn't a huge. I don't know. Hopefully that whole everything can kind of get funneled through to Kyle Pitts and Drake London in the passing game. So if that happens, then he can definitely be worth it at the 4th round pick. So going into the round 5, we have Aaron Jones, 501, Justin Fields, Terry McLaurin, Joe Mixon, Christian Kirk, Christian Watson, George Kittle, Dalvin Cook, Chris Godwin, Michael Pittman at the 510, J.K. Dobbins, and Mike Williams. Brian, who's your guy, the value pick here?
I think it's kind of funny. It's kind of like the same thing as what I was saying a couple of rounds ago with the running backs. So my pick is Aaron Jones here. He's one of those guys where it's like he's done nothing to like lose any work or anything like that. He's obviously he got paid a couple of years ago and he's still like producing. I think he was still like running back 12 or 13 last year. Oh no, 9. I got him at 9. Yeah. So it's like, why is he going in the round 5? It's because Aaron Rodgers isn't there. And it's like, well, that might not necessarily be a bad thing for Aaron Jones. Like it might I don't know if he's necessarily always been like a super, if it's like an efficiency thing. Like I know he carries closer to 200 times a game, but he's involved in the passing game. He's obviously like kind of like he's like the senior player on the team now. Like he's been there the longest. Like AJ Dillon's gonna be there, but it's like that's okay. Like we've only ever seen him really be good whenever he plays. So I can't see him actually lasting this long because I would probably take him in the 4th round, honestly.
Yeah, I like the Aaron Jones. Like I don't know what the parameters for a 0 RB are, 0 RB, like how many rounds that is. But if you can get him in the 5th round as like your first start running back, I'd be pretty comfortable with that. He should give you. He's always a pretty efficient guy. He averaged over 5 yards a carry last year. He caught almost 60 passes. I think people are going to point to the age a little bit, but, he's 28, like basically the whole year. Early December, he turns 29. And there's since 2013, there's been 11 running backs that finished top 10, age 28. And then if you add 10 more that are 29 and older. So it's not like it's unheard of, 21 guys, basically 2 guys every year finishing in the top 10 that are 28 or older. So I think 28 is kind of like that last year where maybe you start, and he doesn't have a lot of carries or only 1,000 carries in his career. It's not a whole lot. Derrick Henry has that in like 2.5 years,
Well, the number that number could be, we do have like a huge cohort of like aging running backs that he's a part of, and so it's like maybe that number gets pushed out a little bit over this next year or two, by these guys who are still, we'll have to see what they have left in the tank, but it's like, it's just kind of crazy. Like you see what I'm saying about like how these running backs, they seem to be getting pushed down. And I think it's because of where like we're seeing like all the quarterbacks and all these receivers push all these guys down, and it's kind of like, damn, like I just feel like it's like making kind of an interesting sort of draft.
Yeah, for sure. Dad, who's your guy in round 5?
Yeah, my guy is going to be J.K. Dobbins. I've always kind of liked the guy. Had a little setback, of course, a couple years ago. So he's going into his 4th year, and he's only basically played a year and a half. So first, his rookie year, I think he was close to 1,000 yards. Was out his 2nd year. Last year, he had a half a year, 8 games, 500 yards. I just think he's going to kind of take off in the Ravens offense, and be their main running back, if they're truly going to, Lamar's not going to run as much, then, Dobbins has to run more. So
Yeah.
I think and I think Dobbins is pretty good at the goal line too, from what I've seen. Of course, we get worried about health and things like that, but he's my guy for this round, and
I like it.
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I'm warming up to J.K. Dobbins, so I like that. I like that pick. I mean, I was pretty amazed. So his rookie year, he averaged 6 yards a carry, which is insane. And last year, he averaged 5.7 yards a carry. Maybe that's part of it's Lamar. The threat of the quarterback running as well. But yeah, I mean, if that offense is truly going to be better with the weapons they brought in and Zay Flowers and Odell Beckham and hopefully Rashad Bateman healthy, and then J.K. Dobbins could see double-digit touchdowns. And if they're going to run it less,
yeah, they didn't add anybody. It's just him and Gus Edwards still, who were like were both hurt basically all of last year, and so it's just kind of like they didn't do anything in front of him. Like I'm interested in Dobbins too.
Yeah, I mean definitely over like Michael Pittman or Chris Godwin. I'll probably lean Dobbins. It depends on how your roster's shaping up, but
I could easily see myself taking Godwin over him if I needed the receiver. But like I like both those guys, like where they are actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Round 6, we have Miles Sanders at the 601, Tyler Lockett, Cam Akers, Deontay Johnson, Damian Pierce, Alexander Madison, DeAndre Swift at the 607, Brandon Ayuk, Deshaun Watson, Kyle Pitts, Dallas Goedert, Rachaad White. Dad, start us off. Who's your guy?
Miles Sanders. Had a great year with Philadelphia, but we know I can't remember, he had 1,300 yards and I think double-digit touchdowns. I know they didn't throw the ball to him at all, but in a previous year they did throw the ball to him, so he can catch the ball. So I'm assuming a 1,200-yard season with Carolina. There's not a lot of options in the offense. They got a rookie quarterback, and I'm hoping he catches 30 passes.
Yeah.
So that would make him, a big thumbs up to me in round 6.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite pick of yours. Like, I'm really, really high on Miles Sanders this year. Just everything about him. The guy's always been super efficient. We just talked about with J.K. Dobbins and like his yards per carry and all that. Miles Sanders averages with a lot more carries, 5 yards a carry in his career. Averaged 4.9 last year. And I just think he's gonna. They didn't do anything in the offensive in the running back room besides bring in Miles Sanders. They gave him a good contract, so they obviously like him. Jalen Hurts, I think, had the second most goal line or inside the 5-yard carries out of all position players. It was like it was Jamal Williams, and then it was Jalen Hurts. That's not going to be there. They're not going to run with Bryce Young like up the middle like they do with Jalen Hurts. The rugby scrum, like they're not who's 190 pounds. And look at who was Bryce Young's like leading receiver at Alabama last year. It was Jahmyr Gibbs. It was a running back, like he'll throw it to the running back, at least what we saw in college last year. So I love Miles Sanders. I would take him a round earlier easily. Brian, you want to talk on Miles Sanders or talk about your guy?
I like Miles Sanders too. Like he's one of those guys who I think I kind of mentioned him in the last video. Like he's one of the guys that we're assuming he's going to have the leading job. I mean, they paid him like a pretty decent contract, I think. Like it wasn't like crazy, but it's like pretty good for like what was going around for running backs this season. So they obviously wanted him, and it's it's easy to say like, oh, McCaffrey left, so they're gonna use him like that. But it's like, you can't just say that about anybody. And it's like, even if he's 70% of what McCaffrey is, if you're getting him in the 6th round, like that's great. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Definitely. So who's your guy?
My guy is Deontay Johnson, and I don't know if I'd actually take him here. I think he's kind of like it depends on like, yeah, again, your roster construction, I guess. Like, but I mean, I got to assume here, if you're a start 3 wide receiver, like, you've already got like he'll be your number 3 or possibly even your number 4. And yeah, I know you, Mike, you don't really like him that much because he's never been like super efficient. Like he's kind of just like a target guy. He kind of gives me like a little bit of Allen Robinson vibes, but like just because it's like, oh, is it all just like based on like this enormous like target share kind of thing? And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's one thing that's been consistent for him throughout his career, and nothing else is changing in that situation. His quarterback should only be at least a little bit better this year, in his 2nd year. So, I mean, let's see. I guess let's see what happens. Claypool's gone. I don't know. I just think I think he'll still have the high target share, and so we'll see if he actually scores a touchdown this year and maybe get 6 of them.
Set the record for most targets or most catches without a touchdown. So I actually like Deontay Johnson this year and where he's going. I'm never like excited to have him on my team, like, oh yeah, maybe it's his name or something. I don't know. I mean, again, 2021, what was he, a top 10 receiver that year? He was wide receiver 9. He's going to get the volume again. Like, I forget. I went back and looked at. There's only 3 guys who have had 140 or targets or more, basically since Deontay Johnson's been in the league. He's had 3 straight years of 140 targets, which is a crazy number. That's a lot of targets. I don't see that really changing. They didn't bring anyone in. I'm not a George Pickens guy. Like he's a go route type of player. 0 touchdowns was the biggest thing, but he actually had like the 10th most red zone targets last year. He just didn't catch any of them, or he caught 7 of them, but none of them for touchdowns. So he had more red zone targets than CeeDee Lamb, than AJ Brown, than Chris Godwin, Christian Watson, Drake London. He had more red zone targets than all those guys. So it wasn't that they just weren't drafting or targeting him in the red zone. It was just, he didn't catch the touchdown. So I actually really like him. And just looking at guys like Mike Williams, we know his situation, always hurt. He could be, second option. Tyler Lockett could be like the 3rd option. These are receivers going around Deontay. Like Brandon Ayuk, again, like a player I like, but it's just like, damn, he could be like the 4th option on that team, Like, I don't know. I like Deontay. This year.
I don't know what the Steelers have really done to upgrade their. Did they upgrade the offensive line or anything like that?
They did.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
They did.
So maybe that'll help. Like give Pickett a little bit more time, a little less pressure to like. Yeah, I had to look him up real quick because I was like, oh yeah, he only threw a couple of touchdowns. He only threw 7.
He only had 11
in
passing touchdowns.
Wait, 11? I see 7.
No, between him and Trubisky, the Steelers had 11 passing touchdowns, 11 or 12 or something.
So it's like, yeah, you can kind of give Deontay a pass. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be like, it's not going to be 40 next year, so it's not like you can pencil him in for 10. But yeah, he's going to catch more than 0.
Even if he was at his average, if you average his first since 2019,
like 7. Yeah, I was gonna say. I said if he gets 6, I think he's good here. He's gonna have 100 catches. He'll have 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's what I'm guessing. It's not like super exciting stats, but
no. But even if he had 6, if he had more closer to his career average last year, he's a top 20, almost a top 20 receiver, you know? So
Yeah.
they
He's
did
gonna
bring in
be-
Allen Robinson. I said they didn't bring anyone in. They did bring in
Yeah,
Allen
that's funny because I
Robinson.
just talked about him. Or
Yeah,
just
well, they
mentioned-
didn't bring anybody in, and
Well, I think maybe it frees up Deontay to like let him play and run a little bit deeper routes rather than just being the short
Come on,
area
man. We
guy.
don't wanna-
So,
we don't want to fool the people thinking Allen Robinson's any good.
no, but I'm just saying like maybe Deontay cannot like Allen Robinson can just be that short area dump off guy, and Deontay can stretch the field a tiny bit more. So
Yeah, I guess we can always wish.
yeah. But we'll get into our last round, round 7. We have Mike Evans going, Treylon Burks, Marquise Brown, Kadarius Toney, George Pickens at the 7:05, James Conner, Darren Waller, Javonte Williams, Isaiah Pacheco, David Montgomery, Jordan Addison, Jahan Dotson. Brian, who do you like in round 7?
I can't even remember if I mentioned him before, or maybe it was the other video, but it's James Conner in round 7. It just seems like a smash play. Like, he basically will be the Arizona offense as long as he's alive, basically. Like, they just give all the work to him. Like, it's so crazy. Like, I mean, obviously that's going to depend a lot on if Kyler's going to play or not. But I mean, the dude has not done anything to lose his job. Like, he looked great when he came back. He did get hurt. It's funny because I've been out on Connor like the last like couple of years. So, like, there's no
I thought
way.
you were a Connor lover.
No, I should be. I'm stupid for not loving him. Like, he's been awesome. Like, he's just been so good.
Yeah, I don't know about
Like-
awesome, but
I mean,
I
he
mean-
has
okay.
Yeah.
since being on
Go
Arizona.
Go ahead and pick him then.
I'll take him in
Who's
the
RB?
7th round.
RB5 in 2021, James Conner, missing 2 games, by the way. And then last year, from like the second half of the season on, he was like a top 6 running back again.
Well, everybody has a good year now and then, so
Yeah, he still had 1,100 yards in 13 games last year, so it's like I can get behind that. 46 catches and 30. So if you just add like another 20% on there, like it's like, yeah, I think those are great numbers. Like,
He's going to miss time, I mean, because he always does. But like you're telling me he's going around Kadarius Toney and George Pickens, like there's no way in hell I'm choosing either one of those guys over James Conner. Like, no way. There's no way. Like, I don't understand why he's going so low again. Like, talk about the 0 RB strategy again. Like, if you want to go all the way to round 7 and James Conner's your guy, like, yeah, he'll miss a few games, but when he plays, and what's Arizona going to do? They're just going to run the hell out of him. You know, they're kind of going into tank mode a little bit. So,
well, they don't
yeah,
have to. They're already there. They got the worst roster in the NFL.
Yeah. So just run James Conner into the ground for his, you know, his last season with Arizona, most likely. So,
I picked 5 running backs. So that just tells you where. I mean, I didn't pick them all from the same spot in the draft or anything, but
yeah.
it's kind of like, I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, like we just said, James Conner in the 6th, like that's just crazy. Like, or seventh round.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like how is that? I don't know. I don't believe this is kind of what I'm saying. Like, I don't think this is how it's actually going to go.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, we'll see. We will see. Dad, who's your guy?
Yeah,
You know what I'm
my
saying?
guy, 7th round, David Montgomery, RB1 from Detroit Lions. You know, I know everybody's going to go back and look at, you know, his 4 years in Chicago and how he stunk. You'd be surprised at what his stats were. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but they were, I think for 4 years, he was between 800 and 1,000 yards. So I'm just talking off the top of my head. So please check for yourself. But look at all. Okay, follow me on this. 17 touchdowns by Jamal Williams last year. Somebody has to replace that. Now, I'm not saying David Montgomery is going to get 17 touchdowns. Well, it's not going to be Jared Goff. You know, let's say he got 7 touchdowns and David Montgomery got 10 touchdowns and rushed for the ball 1,000 yards, and he catches passes. And I apologize for not knowing his pass catching stats off the top of my head, but I think he's going to produce. Round 7, it's like, hello, like, get him.
You know what's funny is David Montgomery is basically like James Conner, like in terms of their stats of just like
the same guys.
Yeah, they give you 1,100, 1,200 yards. Maybe their big year, they give you 1,400, 1,500, and they do that by like rushing for 900 and receiving for 300, 400, just versatile backs.
You know who else their stats remind me of is the guy I picked 2 rounds ago, Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
Probably pretty similar, like guys, like. And
Aaron Jones.
There,
maybe a little more like explosive, like he does give you those spike weeks, whereas like Connor and Montgomery are just like, kind of plotters, but they give you the numbers. So I mean, Jamal Williams was what, like RB 13 last year with his 17 touchdowns, and like you said, someone has to replace those, and even Swift had 8 touchdowns himself, so like 25 touchdowns from running backs gone. Off the Lions, one of the best offensive lines in the NFL.
Swift rushed for 8 touchdowns last year.
5 and then caught 3.
And then he caught some. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like both those guys. I'm a big David Montgomery guy, so I like, and it's not like the Lions gave him a good money too. Like, they're going to use them. They're not just going to like, oh, we got Gibbs, we're not using them. So
how many attempts did Jamal Williams have last year? Did you just say that number?
No, probably 220, maybe 262. Wow.
Okay. And then Swift had, okay. So there's a lot of space there, especially if we're thinking Jahmyr Gibbs is not going to be carrying the ball more than 8 or 10 times a game anyways. It's like,
I think he's going to do
the narrative, right? Like he's like, oh, they're going to throw him the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see him doing what Swift did, 99 in 14 games, maybe a slightly more than that. Like, so, yeah.
Well, I know we talk about this sometimes in our videos. So think about this. Dad, in our down video, you said you were down on Jahmyr Gibbs in round 4 because you were like, I don't know if he's going to quite perform there. You can wait 3 rounds literally and get the other guy who they paid more. He's not the rookie. We've seen him be good. So
no, I get it. In round 4, you're drafting Gibbs for his potential. And the guy looks good. He looked great last year at Alabama. He was drafted high. I get all that. That's kind of why I say, let's see it. But I do believe the offensive coordinator in Detroit, I believe they'll know how to use Gibbs. Do we know if he'll sprain an ankle or tear a hamstring or any of that stuff? I mean, that's anybody's problem. But
it comes down to like, do you want Jahmyr Gibbs and Kadarius Toney, or do you want like Amari Cooper and David Montgomery? Like what combination do you want?
Geez, I know what I'd take.
I'll take Amari Cooper and James Conner.
I can't believe Isaiah Pacheco's going over David Montgomery.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started now.
He's a guy I would avoid, but no, and this is the best offensive line Montgomery's ever played with, so by far.
Well, I'd take Isaiah Pacheco in round 12 or something like that, but
yeah, Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. I definitely wouldn't take him in the same round as James Conner and Montgomery. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited about Montgomery for sure. Any last words, guys?
No, I think my team would beat Dad's team, though.
Oh, of course.
I think we're gonna have problems.
It's because you draft
drafting the
so
same
well.
I don't know how I can start 5 running backs, but I need to figure out which receivers I'm actually going to draft, I guess.
I mean, we can do 2 running back, 3 flex, 2 receiver, 2 running back, 3 flex. You can start 5. Maybe we'll do that.
I kind of like that, actually.
Yeah, but yeah, we're gonna finish it up there. We'll be back putting out more stuff. Maybe some mock drafts coming up in the future. I think for sure, me and you, Dad, we're gonna be going over each NFL team, maybe like 15-minute videos and just talking about each one.
Okay.
Roster, training camp stuff. Brian, of course, you can join if you want.
Yeah, stop saying you got things to do and all that other crap, you know?
That's fine. Life happens. Life happens.
Weak excuse.
And yeah. Any last words, guys?
Not really.
No. Oh, you know what? Me and Dad have been playing some underdog, so we'll have to talk about that off air. See if we want to do something about that.
I'll get a VPN going. All right, guys. Like the video and subscribe. We'll catch you all next time.